Today we are diving into a brand new criminal code that's got a lot of people talking, and not in a good way. The claim is that it was pushed through at lightning speed, and in the process, it created some serious new threats to our freedom. So let's break down exactly what has critics so worried.
You know how it is, right? You've got a whole month to finish a huge project, but you wait until the very last night to get it all done. We've all been there. It's a mad dash, it's stressful, but hey, for a school paper, you survive. But what happens when that same cram it all in at the last minute mentality gets applied to something, well, a little more important?
Well, according to the sources we're looking at, that is exactly what just happened with an entire nation's criminal code. Just imagine it. That same, oh, I'll just pull an all-nighter approach was used for the very laws that are going to affect the lives of almost 300 million people. Critics are saying this rush has created a foundation that's not just shaky, it's downright dangerous. So here's the game plan for today. First, we'll look at how this law was born in such a hurry. Then we're going to break down 4 of the biggest threats that critics are flagging. How your privacy could become a thing of the past, how your wallet could be held hostage, how you could be considered guilty on just a hunch, and finally, what they say is your only defense in all this. All right, first things first, the speed. The central argument here isn't just that the law was passed quickly. No, the argument is that it was passed at a speed that just doesn't make any sense for something this massive and this important.
Just take a look at this timeline. On July 9th and 10th, you've got lawmakers looking at a giant list of thousands of incredibly complex legal problems. We're talking about the very fabric of the justice system. Then, you fast forward just a few months, and suddenly the whole thing is declared done. Finished, after just 2 days of final discussions. That's right, 2 days. The sources we're drawing from claim that thousands of life-altering, incredibly detailed legal issues were supposedly debated, discussed, and completely resolved in just 2 working days. To put that into perspective, that means each issue got just a few seconds of attention. That's literally less time that most of us take to pick a filter for an Instagram photo. One source put it in a way that's, well, pretty chilling. They treated the fate of a nation like swiping left on a dating app. The difference is, a wrong swipe here lands you in prison. The argument is that this wasn't careful lawmaking. It was just rubber stamping. And the big fear is that this rush created some dangerous new loopholes and powers. Let's see what they are. So this brings us to the first major threat that critics are screaming about, the death of personal privacy. They argue that a really fundamental protection, the fact that police need a judge's permission to search your stuff, has been gutted by just 2 little words. And those words are keadaan mendesak. It translates to an urgent situation. See, it used to be that if law enforcement wanted to search your home or seize your phone, they had to go to a judge and get a warrant. Simple. But this new code, it introduces the urgent situation as a kind of legal trump card. And here's the kicker. The term urgent isn't really defined. It's totally subjective. It's left up to the officer on the scene to decide. So if an officer feels like the situation is urgent, they can go right ahead and search your home, take your phone, all without getting a judge to sign off on it first. That critical check and balance? Poof, gone. But it actually goes even further. Sources also point out a huge expansion of undercover operations. Critics are arguing that this new law basically legalizes entrapment. This is where the state doesn't just wait to catch someone doing something wrong, it can actively create a situation to lure a citizen into committing a crime. This tactic, which some call manufacturing crime, can now be used in almost any kind of case. The threats don't stop at your privacy. They extend right into your bank account. This new code introduces a tool that critics say can turn your own money into a weapon against you. This quote from one of our sources really says it all. Impoverish first, get proof later. It perfectly sums up the power of a new article in the code. It gives an investigator the authority to just unilaterally order a total freeze on all of a person's financial assets. Just try to imagine that. You're at the grocery store, you go to pay, and your card is declined. You check your banking app, blocked. Your savings, your investments, everything, completely frozen. And get this can happen not because a judge ordered it, but simply because an investigator decided it, long before you ever get a trial. You are financially punished before you've even had a chance to defend yourself in court. Now, the law also puts a big emphasis on something called restorative justice. And on paper, the goal sounds great. Settle minor cases outside of court, keep the prisons from overcrowding. But critics are pointing to a massive flaw. The whole process is managed directly by investigators with no neutral judge involved. The fear is that this will turn police stations into, and I quote, a stock market for cases, where if you have enough money, you can pay to make your legal problems vanish, while people without money get squeezed. And now we come to what critics are calling the most radical and frightening change in this entire law. It's a shift in the very idea of what it means to be innocent. So to get this, we have to look at the penyelidikan, which is basically a preliminary investigation. Under the old system, this stage was just for fact-finding. The goal was to figure out if a crime had even been committed in the first place. And crucially, arrests were totally forbidden at this stage. But the new code, it completely flips that. It now allows for arrest and detention during this super early fact-finding phase.
This change raises a really chilling question. Does this mean you can be arrested and locked up based on nothing more than an officer's gut feeling before they even have solid proof that a crime actually happened?
And according to the source material, the answer is a shocking, resounding yes. This new law makes that possible. It effectively throws out innocent until proven guilty and replaces it with a new, terrifying principle: detained on a hunch.
So after walking through all of these potential new dangers, the sources we're examining argue that the most important thing is awareness. Knowing that these new rules exist is framed as the only real defense a normal citizen has left.
Let's just do a quick-fire recap of what one source calls this horror legal tour. We've got laws rushed through in days, private conversations that are now an open book. Your bank account has a kill switch held by an investigator. Justice might now have a price tag. The state can bait and trap you into a crime, and you can be put in jail based on a feeling, not on facts.
The core argument from the critics is this: a law like this only gets rushed through because the people in charge assume the public is ignorant. They assume we're not paying attention, and that even if we are, we'll forget about it quickly. The call to action is blunt: prove them wrong. And that leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative question pulled from the source material. It presents a stark choice, framing this whole issue as a matter of personal and civic duty. It really challenges all of us to think about what kind of citizen we're going to be in the face of these new realities.